Hey Collider Games fans, well, E3 is over, everything is done. I am here in a super empty LA convention center. As you can see, there is absolutely nothing left. Does that mean that our gaming coverage ends? No, it doesn't. We've still got plenty of stuff coming your way on Collider Games. For instance, right now we have a recap of everything that we saw at E3. We put this out as a podcast, which you can see on the Podcast One app or on the Apple Podcast Store. It's on the Collider Factory feed. But for you guys here on YouTube, we wanted to put it out here as well. So check out our wrap-up of E3. All right, guys. Hey, welcome to the new podcast on the Collider Factory for this week, our E3 wrap-up, thanks to Collider Games, myself, Jeremy Johns, John Schnepp, Dennis Zen, Dorian Parks, Marc Fernandez, and even Frank Lucatordo for a little bit was down at E3. Yeah. We all had an awesome time. I've got Dorian and Mark here with me to talk about some of our thoughts of the whole event. So, guys, first off, survived the week, made it through
Barely,
everything.
Dude. Like, I'm dead right now, but this was an amazing week. I'm not gonna lie. I loved E3. Loved it from start to finish. This was my first E3 actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, welcome to the craziness.
Yeah, I did not. My legs are dead from walking from West Hall to South Hall, just like
right.
Just that alone.
Well, look, one day I'll tell you we can have another podcast just talk about old E3 stories because I got a bunch of them.
I was gonna say, yeah. Thanks to Facebook having constant like reminders and memories and things like that. It posted a picture of, I think it wasn't my first E3. It was 2011. And it was, me with a camera and there in a nerdy T-shirt. And I looked down and I was wearing the same Sonic the Hedgehog T-shirt that day, to go cover E3. Gotcha. And I'm like, wow, okay, I need to.
So what? 2011 was your first E3?
2010 probably. But 2011 was the first time I was actually covering it. My dad worked in the industry, so he would sneak me in occasionally.
Cool.
But honestly, this is I will say this is the first time that I got to cover the Xbox press conference in the way that we did.
Oh, okay.
So like being able to be in the room and feel the energy when people first saw that reveal of like Halo Infinite, when people saw.
Tell me about that for a second. What is Halo Infinite? I don't really know too much about it.
So they haven't actually spoken too much about it. They showed that cinematic trailer, and we speculated on it a little bit, thinking the word infinite might actually mean that this is a Battle Royale version of Halo, which
that would make sense.
Not excited about. However, I spoke to the general manager of marketing at Xbox, and while we were talking, he said the words "new Master Chief story."
Okay.
While talking about Infinite.
Right. So it's like what was the last proper Halo game?
Halo 5 Guardians.
And that was on the One or the 360?
That was on the One.
Okay. I don't even put.
I don't even know too much about Halo. I don't mess with Xbox.
I
PS4 all day.
So I don't even know if I should say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Back when I used to work at Rockstar, we actually had Halo. Halo was one of our games.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Halo was one of our games. So I actually have played Halo when it was a demo. It was a third-person demo, very similar to GTA as it was pitched to us, GTA in space. But yeah, we had Halo because at Rockstar we produced Oni.
Okay.
And Oni was Bungie's game before Halo. And then when Microsoft bought Bungie, they took Halo with them. Mm-hmm. But we still, I don't know if they still have it or not, but there was a 3-game deal between Bungie and Rockstar back in those days.
Interesting. Okay.
Before the acquisition. So, anyway, I think that's all public knowledge.
Yeah. If not, it is now.
Right. But look, Halo. I think Halo got a little bit overtaken by Call of Duty, and a little bit by Gears of War, kind of softened it up, and it doesn't seem to have the franchise power that it used to. Obviously, because Bungie stopped working on it.
That's
right?
the thing. Like the Bungie Halos were the Halos that I really got into, and I'm not saying that it's specifically because 343 took it over, but when Halo 4 came out, and there was so much of this kind of space science lore to it, all of a sudden, and that was in there before, but you didn't focus on it as much. With Halo 4, you all of a sudden kind of had to know the history to really get the story and things like that.
Was Halo 4 the last Bungie one?
No, Halo 4 was the first 343 one.
Oh, I see.
The last, so they did Halo 3, and I think Bungie also did ODST. I'm not sure, because there's ODST and Reach in there as well that are still amazing games, and those are the ones that they're really good on story. But ultimately, Halo, the best parts of Halo are online multiplayer.
Agreed. Online multiplayer. I thought Halo back in the old days. Halo was breakthrough because it was really one of the first games to have sort of squad AI. Back in those early days, you didn't really have that in games. Where you had a squad that was sort of following you around and not necessarily taking your orders, because I don't believe the first Halo had orders, but they were definitely fighting alongside you. You know, and I think that was a big innovation, and also vehicles. Right, the vehicle thing was huge. Are they still doing vehicles and shit like that?
Definitely.
Okay.
Well, it's interesting that you bring up the squad AI. There was a thing in that era of games where, because that was around like when LucasArts did Battlefront and Battlefront 2, and Battlefront 1 had squad AI in that you could issue commands and things like that, and the system didn't work very well, and they took it out for the next one. A lot of people were experimenting with that and then went away from it.
Well, look, I mean, maybe since I'm the old man in the room, I can be the historian. If I think back of the first squad AI in a shooter, I would have to say it's Rainbow Six by Red Storm on the PC way back in the day. I'm talking like late 90s in Rainbow Six. You had a planning phase when you were breaching your target, and you literally scripted the movements of each of your AI in the squad. It was really friggin' cool because there was this whole planning phase in Rainbow Six, the very, very first one, where you could actually script out exactly where your AI went, and they held at this corner, held at that door, wait for me to breach. So it was pretty friggin' dope. I've actually been waiting for them to do that. I think they maybe have done similar stuff since then, but that was the birth of Rainbow Six.
There's so much of the progression of games where games are getting more intricate, and there's so much of it that's going the opposite direction where they're getting simpler.
Very good point. Very good point.
But so at the Xbox press conference, we got one of the things that I really felt was cool, being in the energy of the room, was when that Cyberpunk 2077 trailer came up. They were about to end the press conference. They're up there okay, guys, that's it, thanks. And then the stage goes dark, and the lights start flickering red, and then a bunch of CD Projekt Red stuff starts popping up on the hack code kind of stuff. And there are little hints in there, the word red, and CD Projekt. Somewhere else,
but this is Bethesda.
This was at the Xbox press conference.
Sure, but it's a Bethesda game.
No, it's a CD Projekt Red game.
Okay, school me. I'm not sure who that is.
They're the guys that made Witcher.
Oh wow, okay, yeah.
And
right,
so
that's big time.
They put out a cinematic trailer for this game 6 years ago.
Really?
And it was one of the things at E3 that it was a gorgeous cinematic trailer of this kind of Blade Runner world with slow-mo bullets flying, and it's this girl in the rain, and all of a sudden the bullet grazes her cheek, and you see the metal skin underneath.
I like that.
And then all of a sudden you're seeing it expands out to see that she's an android. And then we hadn't heard anything about it since then. That was the only trailer we ever got. And now they finally did this other cinematic trailer that tells more of the story, shows more of the world. But yeah, just the little hints that they were doing to build it up, and the audience building up, because during that code stuff, they had the music from the first trailer playing in the room, and and a couple people hooked onto it, and the wave of recognition moved through the audience.
Look, first of all, that sounds awesome. But I think the video game industry, man, and look, I was guilty of this as well. They got in the industry, we actually call it a J curve, right? We call it J curve marketing, which is that you just you start with nothing for years. I'm sorry. You start with some kind of announcement, right?
Yeah.
You dip down into nothingness, right? And you can stay there for as long as you want, and then you all of a sudden release the game.
Right.
I mean, 6 years ago this thing was announced?
6 years ago, yeah, they had a cinematic trailer.
Who else can get away with that?
That's like DC. That's what Warner Brothers does right now with DC. They announce all the movies, and then nothing comes out. Like, we got the Joker movie.
Right.
We got a Joker movie coming out in like 3 years. We're never going to see any of that. I promise you.
Right. Look, it's called J-curve marketing, boys and girls. But yeah, so was is there any kind of announcement on a date? Because that sounds really cool.
And it was either very end of this year or beginning of next year. So it's either December 2018 or January 2019. I can't remember off the top of my head.
But the same breadth of game as The Witcher, super expansive open world.
Yeah, exactly.
Great
Just
combat.
Take everything that made Witcher great and put it in futuristic sci-fi.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, there are certain companies that I almost don't need the game from. Like, I could watch their cinematic trailers over and over. Like, CD Projekt Red is great at that. Blizzard is great at that. And then one of the other games, Naughty Dog is good at it. And Ubisoft had a game last year that we saw a cinematic trailer for, Beyond Good and Evil 2. Do you remember?
Yeah, what happened to that?
They did another cinematic trailer this year, and they showed a little bit of gameplay. But so that one's growing for sure. That's another one that the first Beyond Good and Evil went under the radar for me. It was apparently very well received critically, but
it was a fun game.
Not enough people bought it.
Yeah,
but it was a while back, you know.
That was shit. That was 2005, 2006.
Yeah, so they're only doing a sequel now, and with these cinematic trailers, they're introducing so much character and stuff like that. That I was sitting there like, how do I not know about these characters? Yeah. They're all awesome.
You know, not to jump around here, but I was very intrigued. Like Dorian was saying, like as you walk from the West Hall to the South Hall, there's this like huge hallway with all these banners, right?
Yeah, up right above. Yeah,
and like they had those super dope Hitman 2 banners, right?
Think
Deadly, which I love. Look, and we'll talk about Hitman later. It's one of my favorite games of all time. But as you keep going down, there was like an Ubisoft set of banners.
Yeah.
And they were all very cinematic, really cool looking banners, super wide shots. But there was one banner for a game that I'm not even going to attempt to say the name, but I know that you got a chance to see it firsthand. And I've actually been meaning to ask you about it. The one that kind of looks a little bit like Jade Empire, the old BioWare game. It was like either samurai or ninja or some kind of...
Sure. So there were 3 samurai games that were up. One was Ghost of Tsushima.
I think, yes, that's the one I'm talking
about. So that one...
That's the Ubisoft one?
No, that one's being done by Sucker Punch.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so that one's like the PS4 exclusive.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And that looks gorgeous. I got to see a little bit of behind the scenes on that, and they were talking about the samurai movie inspiration. You know, the Akira Kurosawa inspiration.
That's my guy.
Which... that is another one of these games where, you know, someone brought up to me in the comments of Collider Games, youtube.com/Collider Games.
And by the way, Joey's doing a great job on that, and look forward to seeing Dorian on there more.
We got that by the time this is up, I got a Fortnite video. I went to the Fortnite Pro-Am event, interviewed a couple people, talked about it. Ninja and Marshmallow ended up winning the whole thing. It was I think they got $1,000 for their charity. I'm not sure which one they went
nice.
But it was dope. Like,
all right, cool.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Get back.
No, it's all good.
I was listening.
We're going to talk a lot of Fortnite in a little bit too.
In the back of my head, I'm like, I'm very interested in this, and I want to go on it. I'm gonna forget what I was saying, and I probably already have. No. So someone in the comments was talking about how some of the Sucker Punch games are very good gameplay wise. They're visually, they look great, but the story's never really been stellar.
Tell me some of them. I'm not sure if I know them off the top.
Infamous is their biggest series.
Wait a minute. Which one was that one?
So that was on PS3. That was lightning powers floating around, and like the guy's name was Cole, I think. Yellow Jacket.
There's a VR version of that game.
Is there?
Yeah, I think so.
Dude, I'll jump in
I think
on
so
that.
on Oculus.
And then Infamous Second Son was...
It was on PS4.
Yeah, it wasn't a launch PS4 game, but it was very, very early on.
That's probably that's the reason I got a PS4 because of Infamous. I love the first one so much. I was like, damn, they're really about to make me. They're really about to make me get it, but I finally broke down and got it. I love that series.
Well, it's what it is. It has that kind of city traversal superhero stuff that, to a certain extent, Spider-Man has. And then if you ever played Prototype, which had a very similar kind of like travel around the city using your powers, fighting things on the ground, so. Prototype, Spider-Man, and then Infamous had.
And it's like you don't necessarily have to be a hero either. You can make your own choice. Like any actions, throughout the game, you make your own choices, and sometimes you can be a bad guy, sometimes you can be a good guy.
Right. So I guess the point being that this is going to be a game that you probably want more story out of, and while Sucker Punch has been great at the mechanics, they haven't really shone in story. Not to say that it's ever been terrible, or it's not consistently terrible. There's one or two story moments.
They also did, not to interrupt you again, but they also did Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoon.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, which is a great game.
They were actually talking about how Sly Cooper has some samurai movie inspiration behind it. Like the way that people talk to each other with such reverence in those films, that was brought into Sly Cooper as this kind of honor among thieves.
So the samurai game, this Ghost of
Tsushima.
What's it like? What did you see behind closed doors?
So basically, they had done a gameplay trailer, or not a gameplay trailer, but the first 5 minutes of a mission or something like that, and that had been on the stage at the Sony press conference. And so behind closed doors, they played through that same scene, but they took a second to talk about some specifics on how things are built, and they were able to pause and move around in the game and everything. And that was one of the things that Infamous Second Son had on PS4 early on, is an amazing photo mode that people would go into the game not necessarily to play the game, but maybe just to take photos.
Really?
Because you could control depth of field. Once you you pause to hit the photo mode, and then you can move the camera around and find anything. So having a game that has that feudal Japan beauty, and then having this really powerful photo mode, we're going to see some of the most amazing still shots ever from this game.
It looked cool. I mean, all the materials that I saw for it looked really sweet. And to your point, I'm a huge fan of the samurai genre. Akira Kurosawa is one of my favorite directors all time. So, and I really liked Jade Empire. Do you remember that game by BioWare back in the day?
No, I don't know if I know that.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah. Do you guys? So BioWare.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously. They did Jade Empire for the Xbox. Maybe it was for the Xbox. Yeah, it was for the first Xbox. And it was BioWare's first leap outside of I think it was their first game after KOTOR. I believe it was,
interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
I believe it was their first game after KOTOR, and it was really, really good. Kind of had some elements of Shenmue. I don't know if you remember that game by Sega back in the day on the Dreamcast. Masterpiece of the game. But I love that whole vibe of the Japanese countryside with the colors and the mountains and the prairies and then the ninjas and the samurais and the beautiful dance of the swords. So anyway, I'm
honestly seeing the way in Ghost of Tsushima where as you're fighting, the leaves underneath you move and kick up and stuff like that. You're gonna love that one for sure.
Not to jump all over the place here, but when Mist of Pandaria came out for World of Warcraft, I was a little on the fence about it. But when I actually logged in and you see all these sort of Eastern aesthetics thrown into the game, it's all very, very beautiful. So anyway, I'm excited about that.
You just didn't want to play as a giant panda.
I didn't, but that actually turned out to be quite a fun expansion.
All right. Well, so one of the things that we knew we wanted to check out for sure was Spider-Man.
Yes.
And I didn't get a chance to play it. Like every time that
You didn't play it?
I got to play it just like for the tiniest little bit, and we had to go off to somewhere else. But I know Jeremy got to play it. I know Dennis got to play it for a bit, and I know Schnepp got to play it. And
me, I got to play it.
I
played
a
little
well.
bit. I played like 10
Everyone
minutes.
Got to,
Everybody
right,
but you played it, Joe.
Look, this E3 for me, and look, I've been going to E3s for a very, very long time. And E3 is usually about one or two things. For me, this year, E3 was about Spider-Man, and I wanted to go check it out. And it was also about VR. We'll get that into a little bit, even though there wasn't a ton to talk about. But Spider-Man, I've been looking forward to this game. Obviously, off the heels of Spider-Man: Homecoming, that was such a awesome movie, and I loved how they sort of reimagined the Spider-Man franchise exactly the way that I've been dreaming about it my whole life, and we got to see that on screen. It seemed like there was like this new renaissance of Spider-Man that I was getting very excited about. And then like this game comes out and it has a little bit of the same vibe that the movie does, with the eyes and the costume and, the suit and all these things. And look, I've played every single Spider-Man game, and I'm actually a big fan of the Beanox Amazing Spider-Man. To be honest, when I played the demo, and it's just a demo, okay?
Yeah.
For all the gamers out there who are looking forward to it, who haven't gotten a chance to check it out, it's the same game. It's the same. Fundamentally, it's the same exact game as Amazing Spider-Man 1 and Amazing Spider-Man 2 by Beanox, right?
Right.
Now, what I did see that impressed me was that the animation blending is absolutely gorgeous. The combat mechanic is still that same combat mechanic you had in Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, which is obviously reminiscent of everything that they learned and copied, rightfully so, because all great art is imitation. What they copied from Rocksteady with the Arkham Asylum games.
The fight mechanics.
So the combat mechanics are that. But I will say that I saw a lot of beautiful animations. The problem with that fighting mechanic is that it can get visually very repetitive.
Yeah.
And because like you're always fighting the same 5-6 guys, you got to like
a little slow-mo,
Yeah. It's like it can get a little bit repetitive. But I actually noticed a lot of variety in the animations. Now, look, after you play 17, 20 hours, maybe it's still going to get repetitive.
Yeah.
But what I did see got me excited because the animation blending was absolutely gorgeous. The combinations of the webbing and the dodge moves and the attack moves and the environmental things that you can use to create damage, as well as the specials that you start to build up over the game. Very similar to what you see in the movie with like the web grenades and stuff like that. Like those things are getting introduced into the game. And look, the city looks absolutely incredible. The swing mechanics are the same that we've had for 10 years, but it still works very nice. The graphics are great. But one thing I did like a lot that left me there excited to buy the game was that in the demo that we got to play, the final boss was the Shocker. And he was damn hard. I tried, in all full transparency, I tried twice. And I lost twice. Dorian, did you beat the Shocker?
I didn't even make it to the Shocker, dude. Like, I got to right up to it, and then people were like, "All right, we got to go do something else." I was like, "Bro,
yeah, no, I
really? What are we doing?"
I fought like
y'all wait right then, and come on now.
I fought like the first like 5 guys, and then it's like, no, we got to go do this thing over here. I'm like, all right, but Spider-Man.
Okay. So look, I spent a lot of time with the Spider-Man demo. And I got to the Shocker, and he beat my ass twice. It was tough. Which is, look, I like challenging bosses. To me, that's the fun. Is like, how do you approach each boss? Hopefully, there's a lot of variety in the mechanics that each boss has, so that you can really come up with different strategies to beat them. But yeah, I'll definitely be buying Spider-Man day it comes out.
When I talked to the creative director from the Insomniac Games, he was there just talking around a little bit, and he was saying like the Sinister Six, it will be like after Shocker, like there'll be 5 other bosses, and then the last one he didn't want to reveal like. It's not
The trailer had that kind of like cliffhanger on
like
who that last one's going to be.
He was like, you're going to find out. He didn't want to tease. He didn't want to say anything.
Yeah.
But I'm excited about that. Like,
so you're saying that the whole sort of game narrative is kind of based around the Sinister Six?
Yeah, he said the Sinister, like it's them, and then you'll find out who the last. It's not the original Sinister Six. It's going to be the last one you find, like the sixth one.
Yeah, we know 5 of them so far.
Yeah,
and
because there was a rumor about it was like supposed to be Iron Man. I can't like.
Well, yeah,
really?
Yeah. I mean, it could be something crazy. Yeah, honestly. So the way the cinematic trailer ends is him on Spider-Man on top of a building getting his butt kicked by 5 of the Sinister Six. It's Scorpion, Vulture, Shocker, Mr. Negative, not Negative Man, and I'm blanking on the last one that's up there, Electro. Maybe.
I can't even tell. I haven't seen the trailer.
One question I had for you, because I know that you've been digging deep into this game, is before E3, I had heard a lot about, from like some videos and the developers, that there was going to be a lot of Peter Parker in this game. Mm-hmm. The demo that I saw had no Peter Parker.
I haven't seen
whatsoever,
any Peter Parker yet.
Do we know what that's going to be like the Peter Parker missions?
I don't know. I would assume that it's going to be more of, the story's going to have more Peter Parker to it. And, maybe it's the equivalent of of a stealth mission in the game. It's like you have to sneak around as with your Spidey powers and things like that, but you have to not be seen because you don't have your costume.
Yeah.
And and Miles Morales is going to be in the game as well, so I think that's probably
as a playable or as a costume.
No, he's going to he's a part of the storyline. That's what he was telling me. He was telling me yesterday. He's a part of the storyline. He didn't want to tease too much, but I was like, is he a playable character? Like, can we? He was like, you just got to find out.
So it could be a cameo, or it could be.
That's why we're going to see him more as Peter Parker, because he said it's not an alternate like how they're doing Into the Spider-Verse, a different reality. Miles Morales is in this story. He's going to be part of the storyline, and we'll see what happens from there.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Because, look, I'm hoping that it would be a lot of fun to actually have that back and forth between Peter and Miles, and not just have Miles be a suit. I mean, look, Miles Morales' costume is awesome.
Yeah.
And if it was like Shattered Universe, where it's just basically different costumes but the same game.
Right.
I mean, I'm hoping that they actually make it a thing, even though I haven't seen it marketed. So
no, well,
I can't imagine
they've got some time before the game comes out. So
and he has to be a playable character, especially maybe not now, but by the time Into this it comes out September 16th, and then Into the Spider-Verse Miles Morales movie, you can't not have him be a playable character.
That's true. Yeah, they're going to be right next to each other.
So yeah, but a playable character or the current character wearing a Miles suit is very different than having Miles Morales specific content in the game.
Miles Morales, he's going to be in the game,
with a different voice, different missions.
Yeah, you see him in the first trailer, in the first trailer, or in the.
Well, so he might not be playable.
No, he might not be playable.
He might be
he's in the game.
He's in the game.
He might be your B character.
Yeah, you might not see him in a suit, but you see him first trailer, getting up or turning around.
What I would love is a Miles Morales, high end television series.
That's exactly on Netflix, on a streaming service or something like that. That's exactly where a Miles Morales series would be perfect for.
I was going to say, I know this is not our TV podcast,
right?
But I need a Miles Morales series, and I need a Static Shock series
starring Dorian Parks.
So look, one last thing I want to say about the Spider-Man game, because obviously, look, my passion right now lies in VR, and it's no secret. Insomniac Games actually is one of the leading VR developers, and this is their first console game in a few years.
Yeah.
Because they had done Edge of Nowhere, Unspoken, and then pretty much one of the top games at E3, which I didn't really get to see, but I saw a lot of buzz around, Stormland. All 3 of these are Insomniac games, all 3 VR games. So it's a little bit interesting that they actually took on such a big console game.
Yeah.
So look, is there hope that maybe they'll turn this console game into VR? Probably not. That's probably not.
Yeah, Spider-Man in VR would be a tough one. I know, when the movie came out, there was a little bit that we did, but it was mostly scenes of standing on a rooftop firing
which
web
was
bombs.
Cool, but it's not the
you can't swing around.
The motion sickness element with a Spider-Man game would be very, very, very tough to overcome.
I did do a bit of an experience that I wanted to talk to you about at Ubisoft. This wasn't a main game or anything, but they had given the Assassin's Creed IP to a company that was making VR experiences, and they had this wireless version of an HTC Vive, like the backpack version, and they had a space set up with like walls, like no bigger than this podcast room, but a couple walls and things like that, and then they had a little 10-minute Assassin's Creed experience in VR that room scale, and it was mapped to the walls.
Interesting.
And so it was
with a Vive?
Yeah, so it was based off of Assassin's Creed Origins, and you have a bow and arrow, and then there's all these walls around you, and so you're shooting over the walls, and you're shooting around corners and stuff like that, but the wall's physically there, and you could actually like lean on the wall and lean around.
That's
so
interesting.
The tough part is that nothing can be adapted to it. Like an IP can be adapted to it, sure, but something has to be specifically developed for this thing. And it's going to be more like the kind of installation that you see at theme parks or at malls and stuff like that, so people can run through a 10-minute thing. But because you're doing the physical movement, because you're not like using a joystick to move or anything like that, absolutely no motion sickness, nothing like that, up until they got to the point where the only way to end an Assassin's Creed experience like that is to do the high fall.
Sure.
And you walk up out on this ledge, and then the game kind of takes over, and you do the high fall. And that, like, going from walking around in the game and having my own movement, and then all of a sudden having the game take over and do the high fall for me, I was like, oh my god!
Yeah,
I got really sick in like 2 seconds.
Just thinking about it. Yeah, look, VR is. I think. And last night I was actually. I got my rig. My this new Windows update destroyed my rig, and I got it working again yesterday. And I was trying my own game that we're building here at Collider, and it's just so much fun. I mean, VR is just on another level of immersion. When you take that headset off, you're like, damn, where was I? Like I wasn't here. But you're right. I mean, the biggest challenge is the movement, and teleportation is cool, but it can only get you so far. It limits you from being able to play the Spider-Mans or a Superman game or Assassin's Creed. There's a lot of limitations to it right now. And there's two types of people. There's people that get nauseous and people that don't. There's people that play Onward and don't get nauseous. Like, I can't play true motion games. It's almost like we're seeing some kind of genetic evolutionary pivot point.
Right.
Where it's like, are people that don't get nauseous going to get eliminated from VR, and the people that, or the people that don't get nauseous will advance in VR. The people that do won't. Like,
and this is one of the interesting things, because most people think that the prohibitive part of VR is the cost, and that's true for a lot of people.
It is.
But there's also a step beyond that, which is, are you physically able to play VR games? Because I was playing Transference, which is another Ubisoft game.
Yeah, I want to hear about that.
So that's being developed by Ubisoft and Spectravision. Spectravision normally does like indie horror movies and things like that, and it's a company owned by Elijah Wood. And so they have this kind of pseudo-horror game called Transference, but the movement in it was something that I hadn't played before. It was true motion movement, so you were moving around with a joystick.
Which system did you play it on?
Rift.
Okay.
So moving around with a joystick, but then the other joystick was for look. And then it was
that's horrible.
It was snap look too. So you like snap around, and they'd set up the demo to play like sitting down in front of a TV, and I'm like, that's not how VR works. I want to stand up and
and move around a room.
Yeah,
like here at Collider, we have our own VR setup, and it's you got to move around. You can't play VR without standing up, moving around, looking around corners.
We should play that game, Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. Have you played that?
Oh,
So first of all, I've heard, I'm going to confess it, I've never played it.
Okay.
But I've heard that it's like the best like party VR game there is.
Yeah, we gotta do that.
Yeah.
So have you know like the premise or whatever?
Yeah.
Come on, dude. Like we
Yeah.
get so basically we have like Roker or somebody in here, and then like Roker like he's like reading off.
I love the idea of,
yeah.
of like Roka and Perry doing
Roka
this.
and Perry doing it. Like, we could even do a race like two people are trying to like one Roka and Perry on the team and Joe and Frankie on the team, and whoever wins gets like something like that. Dude,
somehow we'll get Frank on camera for something. Collider games related.
We'll put some of that stuff.
I play, and I was also playing that game Dream. It's called Dreams. It's a new game.
At the PS4,
at the PS4
space.
Yeah, weird.
Was that a VR game?
It was like an indie title.
I was there playing for
You
like
and
an
that
hour.
dude.
So. But it's in beta right now. They're going to drop the beta later this year, but once it officially launches, it's going to be on PS4 VR as well.
Oh, I see.
So it's going to I think it'll be better as a VR game because you basically can build your own world, build your own game within the game itself. It's like Minecraft meets Fortnite. I don't know. It's pretty dope.
So one thing that I wanted to ask you, Joey, because I didn't get a chance to see it, and lately I've kind of been playing WoW again. I don't know why. Actually, I do know why. Like a really good friend of mine who's actually going to join the Collider team, who's based in San Francisco right now. We've been having kind of our meetings in WoW because it's kind of a cool place to have a meeting. You know, you get on the headsets, you talk business, you do a little raiding, you do a little PvP, a little arena. But I didn't see any presence at all at the show from Activision Blizzard. But I know that you went to the Activision Blizzard press conference or
So, no. Usually Blizzard reserves all their announcements and stuff for BlizzCon.
Sure.
I didn't see any of their presence on the floor. The only little bit of them that I did see was when we went to Call of Duty Black Ops 4. And Blizzard has been working with Treyarch a little bit.
Really?
And, well, I mean, to a certain extent.
Overwatch or?
Well, so originally when Blizzard was developing Overwatch, they had been calling Treyarch about, first-person shooter console questions.
Sure.
And so they've kind of done the vice versa for Call of Duty, so that they can get Call of Duty running really well on PC. And it's coming out on Battle.net through Blizzard. Like I
saw that.
That's the way you're going to play Black Ops 4. Which I also want to say that I want to say it was Beanox that Treyarch is also working with. That
on COD 4.
Yeah, as far as getting it to be ready for PC. And
Treyarch always uses 2 or 3 different developers to. I mean, it's such a big game.
Yeah, I'm 90% sure it was Beanox. But the point being that when we were playing Call of Duty, I definitely feel the Overwatch in there when we play, and I don't know if that's because Treyarch helped on Overwatch or it's because Blizzard is helping on Call of Duty.
Interesting.
But they're like sister games at this point to me. Because they're doing the specialists now in Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And the specialists aren't, they're not nameless, faceless things that you're putting gear onto. It's not just a body that you're putting specific specialist gear onto. They're each different characters, and
with like names and faces.
Yeah.
Really,
so they have character to them. Treyarch hasn't really spoken about this, but they're probably going to have character relations. Like the way the characters know each other, and that's kind of been the case before with Black Ops 3 and zombies and stuff like that. But everyone was talking about the fact that they didn't have a story mode this time around for Black Ops 4.
What?
Yeah, there's no Black Ops 4 story mode.
There's no story mode?
It's
oh man.
But the biggest thing is that doesn't mean there's no narrative.
Okay.
There's gonna be story weaved into the multiplayer the same way it is in Overwatch. There's gonna be story in zombies the same way that there's story in like Left 4 Dead
Right.
You know, like that's
Great game.
that's the kind of stuff that I'm totally okay if that's what we're getting. Like I don't need a single player focused like storyline.
Okay, so I'm going to take a quick time out here, and I'm going to ask a question that we were asking each other throughout E3. You guys weren't walking around with us, but we were having this debate. Right now, right here, let's go around the table. Top 3 zombie games of all time, starting with Joey.
Okay, I can do this.
In no order, just your favorite.
Left 4 Dead is definitely up there.
Okay.
I was not a big Resident Evil guy, so I don't think I'm putting any Resident Evil on the list. I don't know if it counts, but Prototype.
I don't know.
They're pseudo zombie. So Prototype worked. It was still an infection thing, but basically it moved like Spider-Man 2. You know, it's the big traversal around New York. It was based in New York, and all the basically what happened is like a virus broke out and it was starting to create like symbiote things that were taking over people, and you had gotten infected and you had superpowers out of it. So you're going around like with these crazy symbiote superpowers, and there's all these tiny little symbiotes like down on the street level. So if you stay up high like Spider-Man, then you're fine. But like if you go down in the street level, you start having to fight through essentially a horde of zombies.
That's cool.
So
all right.
like Venom versus zombies, you'll love it. And then I think I'm going to say Dying Light.
Okay. Yeah, Dying Light is a cool game. Dying Light's a cool game.
I don't know if I can say top 3. Those are my 3 favorites.
Dying Light is the one that was on Xbox Marketplace, right?
Yes.
And it's like an open world game.
Yeah, it's a
It's a really
first
cool
person
game.
kind of like no. That's State of Decay.
State of Decay. That's what I'm talking about. That was a cool game too. I like that one.
Dying Light was first person and like kind of parkour traversal, but at night the zombies got faster.
Interesting.
And like mega zombies started to come out and things like that. They were straight up running zombies at night, and they're kind of shambling and moving during the day. And so it was all about this area that had been quarantined because of the zombie outbreak in like the slums of somewhere, some third world country. And so you're just quarantined in this area, and it's about trying to get everyone supplies and things like that, and being a runner for getting supplies back and forth.
I should check that one out. That one actually sounds interesting.
Their Dying Light 2 is coming out at the end of the year, and I'm really excited about that one.
Does The Last of Us count?
Dorian, go for it. Of course, The Last of Us counts.
Last of Us,
then,
yeah.
Yeah, then that has to. Then I don't have a top 3. Like the only one I can think of is The Last of Us. I don't really. Can we cuss on this? I don't mess with horror games that much, but just in general, like I'm thinking, out of all the games I'm played, like horror wise, like zombie wise, got to be The Last of Us.
Last of Us, okay. That's it. That's the only one you got.
That's literally the only one I have.
Right.
Like Last of Us. That's it. Like I don't have any.
So for me, Left 4 Dead for sure.
Yeah,
I mean Left 4 Dead was incredible. Then the zombie expansion, which I don't even remember the name, but the zombie expansion for Red Dead Redemption.
Oh yeah.
I mean that was incredible.
Yeah.
But probably my favorite zombie game of all time, Arizona Sunshine.
Arizona Sunshine, yeah,
Arizona Sunshine is just absolutely incredible.
What is that about?
It's so Arizona Sunshine is a game developed by a company called Vertigo Games.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a VR game.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's only VR. Incredible graphics, beautiful locomotion, incredible gunplay mechanics. But what gets really fun about Arizona Sunshine for me, and I know you've played it as well,
yeah,
right? Is that when you start to realize that you can hold yourself up in one of the houses and actually like use your environment in room scale to like blockade yourself in a room and use that strategy to like kill the zombies, or when you actually know that you only have 4 bullets left and you build up enough strength to run outside, use the 4 bullets and haul ass until you can get to the other side of the map, or just, get overwhelmed by real... I mean, Arizona Sunshine is incredible.
Yeah. Honestly, like...
I got to play that game now. You just gave him, like, the best promotion.
Oh,
like,
no.
that was so beautiful.
Slow pace,
I'm ready to play that
first-person shooters in VR have become one of my favorite things. It was when we were playing Fallout 4 in VR.
Which is a beautiful game, too.
Yeah. Honestly, because I did that lightsaber thing for Christian, and
Sure.
I had to play it enough to get him to a point that he could do something in the game, not just character build. But so I was playing through and being able to like peek around a corner, not like come back, not look around the corner, and just stick your gun around the corner and being able to fire that way.
That's incredible.
But fast paced stuff like Serious Sam, like I don't know if I'm ready for that, but the slow paced ones, because Arizona Sunshine, it's fast paced when you're getting chased, but it's got its moments of reprieve.
Absolutely. It's very reminiscent to like a real life simulation that way, right? Like it speeds up and slows down. So all right, so look,
before we're still talking about zombies real quick.
Go ahead.
We saw there were zombies walking around all E3.
That was dope.
Bro,
Yeah.
one of them was walking up to one of my friends, and I was like recording, about to scare him. And then as I turned, one dude run right there, and scared the hell out of me. I was about to punch. Like, you don't do that.
Right.
Like, he almost got hit, bro. Like, come on.
Right. So it's really funny. So one zombie was walking towards us. I was with Jeremy. And the zombies, the zombies look great.
Yeah.
He was walking toward us, and he was like, "Hey, Jeremy, I love your show."
Oh God. Hey, so one of the things that you guys got to check out was my friend Pedro.
Oh man, what a game! What a game! So, and a big shout out to my friend Mike Wilson over at Devolver Games, who I've worked with for decades at this point. Mike was part of God Games, who brought over Max Payne to Rockstar. So I've been I've known Mike Wilson for many, many years. And then also on the stuff that I did with Hotline Miami many, many years later. But to his credit, he's found a really good groove in finding these great new indie titles. And my friend Pedro, Blood, Bullets, Bananas, I believe is the subtitle. Incredible. It's this like Shadow Complex style, like 3D side scroller. But the whole gimmick of it is that you're kind of like a character from out of if people have seen The Matrix 3, which is what, Revolutions?
Yes.
Okay, so in The Matrix 3, there's a scene where they go to this like nightclub to try to convince the Merovingian to turn over Neo, and they're like in this crazy nightclub with all these ravers with like leather masks and goggles and all this kind of kooky shit.
Right.
But it's cool, right? So it's basically like if you steal one of the random extras from that scene and gave them their own game. So it's like this great shoot 'em up game that has bullet time, so things slow down. But all of the movements by the main player character are all dance moves.
Yeah.
So he's like dancing.
I was going to say, it looked so... And this is one of the things that I've noticed a lot, especially this E3, is when gameplay looks really fluid and really like smooth, and you're watching like a tech demo or something like that, and you're not actually the one playing. I'm getting really wary of like, yeah, that's how it works when you play it, because you've rehearsed that 500 times,
sure,
and then recorded it to put it on a stage.
Right.
What does it look like when I play it? So and
did you play it?
No. That's what I was going to ask. Like, because that looked so gorgeous as you're in the Devolver press conference. Oh. Because they showed it up there. Devolver's press conference is its own crazy, weird, awesome thing.
Yeah, you went to it. It was off-site, right?
No, I didn't go to it. I watched the stream of it.
Okay, got it.
But that game, the fluidity of watching them like change targets and like the dance moves flowing into each other, shooting one person, and as something's like happening in the background, like bouncing something off of that, and like all kinds of stuff. So I'm wondering if it's that fluid.
So look, I played it, and it was so much fun, and it was totally random too. We were just walking around, and we saw this, my friend Pedro, and I was like, that looks cool. So we actually started playing it. It's weird because I started at the Facebook gaming booth.
Yeah,
that's where it was playable. And, man, I got to tell you, I had no idea what the game was. I didn't even know Mike Wilson was involved with it, or else I would have thought about it differently. I had no idea what it was. I just started playing it, and I was blown away by how fluid the animations were and how much.
Is this on PS4 or VR or?
It's Steam.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a PC game. But, man, was it beautiful. And it plays really, really well. Is it available already? It might be available.
Might possibly.
You know what? I don't think it is. Because
no.
you know what? I
think
actually went home that night, tried to buy it, and it's not available.
I want to
yet.
say they announced it at the Devolver press conference.
Okay.
But Devolver's press conference is so hard to unravel. Like, it's
Sure.
not just straightforward announcements.
Sure.
It's, literal blood and gore on stage.
So I'm very close with Mike, and I'll definitely get you and Mike Wilson together so you can do an interview with him.
Yeah, no, that would be
Mike-
awesome. That
Mike
game
is a
looks
legend.
great.
So I have, a little shameless plug, but I have 2 documentaries that I've done with Mike Wilson. One of them is called The Hotline Miami Story, and the other one is called The Remedy Games Story. So one of them is about making Hotline Miami, which is a masterpiece. If you guys haven't played it, download it right now. And the other one is the story of Remedy, as like we started, as we did Max Payne and then many other titles, Alan Wake and all that other stuff. But anyway, Mike Wilson's a great dude. Shout out Mike Wilson.
Okay, because I have not had the chance to talk about it, I need to talk about Super Smash.
Okay, yeah. Let's talk Nintendo a little bit.
Yeah, because I am so excited for that new Super Smash game.
It's crazy.
Having everyone in it, and like that was another one that like Spider-Man that everyone else got their hands on, and
Bro, you weren't. We held out. We were like, "Where's Joey? Where's Joey?" Like,
yeah, no, I was in the middle of something for Forza Horizon 4, and like it just kept getting pushed later and later, and it was also off-site at Xbox's theater, and I was like, "There's no way I'm going to get back in time. I want to play Super Smash so bad."
bro. Shout out to Frank. We played like 5 rounds. I think there's going to be a video. If it's not up already, it'll be up like soon on the gaming channel. He beat my ass like 4 out of 5
Oh yeah, he was
times.
saying he
I thought
wrecked
it was 5
you.
out of the 5
No,
times.
no, I won one of those rounds.
Did you?
Yeah,
He was saying
I'm pretty sure I won one of those rounds.
His story's different. Different.
we got
pretty hyped
tape.
on
we
that.
got tape. We got video tape. Like I know I got my ass beat, but I'm not gonna. I got to win.
I'm trying to figure out how we want to do when that game comes out. How we want to do an in-office tournament. Yeah. Well, like whether we just do like a bracket and do 1-on-1s, or we do like an
all brawl out.
eight for all.
So I want to talk Nintendo a little bit here because if you take a step back and you look at E3 and you're to summarize E3 and say, these are the obvious, like every year at E3, there's like an obvious winner and an obvious loser, And this year to me was very strange because I felt that none of the big publishers or even the big first-party companies had huge announcements, right? Because Spider-Man's been around for a while. It's the same game we've seen 3 times. So it's just a brand, right? The brand is so fucking cool that you're like, bring me more, right?
Right.
But it's not breakthrough or anything. Fortnite is an obvious winner, right? Like the Fortnite booth was absolute madness, and they weren't even announcing anything. It was just like a cultural.
They're just hanging out.
Yeah. They're just hanging out and they're owning the place, right? But when you take a step back, you're like, well, wait a minute. Nintendo had a few really good announcements, right? They had Super Smash Bros. And they have Pokemon
Let's Go, Eevee, and Pikachu.
Yeah. These are 2 huge announcements, right? But then the news that comes out of E3 is that the Nintendo stock drops by 7%.
I'm not sure what that miscorrelation is or anything.
The headline
like...
is Nintendo poor showing creates massive drop in the stock. So it's like the press, very different than what I felt when I was there. Because I was like, okay, well, Nintendo's kind of whooping some ass. Like, Super Smash Bros. Is cool. Pokemon looks cool.
Fortnite on the Switch.
Fortnite on the Switch was like actually the only announcement that Epic made was Fortnite on the Switch.
Yeah.
And the stock drops by 7%. Do you have any idea what some of that thinking is?
I mean, the only thing that I can think of is that ultimately, there's nothing too new about any of that. It's like, things being ported over. Super Smash, yes, it is going to be a new game, but it's literally just them doing what they've done previously and just moving it over to a next console. There's not much that's new about that, apart from the fact that they're bringing in all their previous characters.
Right.
Yeah. And like
Pokemon, same for Pokemon.
Pokemon
Let's Go
is
Eevee.
just going to be the game that they've been releasing on handheld for the longest time. And if you really think about it, they don't have a new handheld console, so the Switch is their handheld console.
Switch is their console, period.
Yeah, and so because there's another besides Pokemon Let's Go and Eevee, there's another Pokemon game that'll come out later next year as well. Like it's going to be the next So we got Pokemon Ruby, all of them. It's going to be the next, an actual you can walk around.
Gotcha.
And they're probably going to add new Pokemon.
Yeah,
at that time,
new generation and all of that. So that's what I'm more excited about. I'm waiting more for that than this Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu.
I'm more excited about.
You already have Pokemon Go on your
but
phone.
I'm more excited about Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee because it's only the original 150 Pokemon, and I'm too old for this shit. When it comes to, there's 1,000 Pokemon right now. I have no idea. Cody and Cops are gonna burst in this door and lecture me on it.
Yeah, after Gen 5, I can't remember.
I barely remember after Gen 2.
Yeah. Cody and Cops are on the channel when they did the trailer reaction for Smash Bros. Got lit up in the comment section.
Oh yeah.
For what?
For not knowing.
For not knowing anyone that wasn't a Pokemon that dropped. It's like, oh, that's a character. Oh, that's a character. I was watching that. I want to do a reaction to their reaction. So I was sitting there like, what? No, how do you not?
Yeah. But look, my big critique of Nintendo is that they're stuck in a time warp a little bit. It's the basic same stuff that we've been getting
it's
for
the
10,
repetitive
15 years. They take such big gambles with every new console. It's like a completely new thing, which is cool because they're being very, very experimental. Mm-hmm. But they've never iterated. From the PlayStation 1 to the PlayStation 4, it's basically the same exact thing, but way more refined, right? Technically, right? It just keeps getting stronger, better. But there's a familiarity not only to the gamers but to the developers. Like, oh, okay, this is the evolution of the PS, the PlayStation, Xbox, the same exact thing. Nintendo,
they're doing something different every time.
Yeah, Nintendo went from NES to Super NES to Nintendo 64. Those three were all very similar to each other.
Well, and then GameCube was decently similar.
You're right. You're absolutely right. GameCube was also kind of like the next version of the N64, but the controller was all different, right? It's like back then, it's like they kept changing the controller.
Yeah.
So it's like oh god, a brand new fucking controller to learn. And then the Wii, a brand new controller to learn.
Right.
Bro, and
brand new controller for developers to map stuff to.
Right.
And
exactly.
to utilize.
Exactly. So it's not only a learning curve every single generation for the gamer, for the user, but it's also a learning curve for the developer every single generation. Mm-hmm. It's a whole new friggin' thing. And now the Switch, is it a console? Is it a handheld? You can play together. Does it have an accelerometer? But no, actually, stand it up and you can put the joystick together. It's just like, what the hell?
And then they have a toy set I can't remember.
The Labo. The freaking cardboard pieces.
Yeah, cardboard. They tried. I remember they were hyping it up, making a big announcement, and then dropped it. And it was
literally a box full of boxes.
What is this?
Yeah, no, I mean, so we've gotten that kind of, we've gotten different stuff that can be done with their consoles every single time. It doesn't let if you have that iteration in the consoles, then you can have that iteration in the games. And that's one of the things, they've had to continuously, redesign games to work with whatever hardware they made.
Yeah.
And side note, we were talking about GameCube and Wii U, bro. I got the Wii, or when I got the Wii, I accidentally, when you were flinging it, I accidentally hit my niece in the head.
Oh no!
Yeah,
is she okay? Was she?
Yeah, she's good now. She's all good. She had a little bump, but it's dangerous.
Look.
There's a lot of broken TVs and stuff like that.
So when GameCube, like you were saying, was the last one where they iterated. and that was when Xbox and PS2 were around. And it's hard to argue against the fact that Nintendo definitely lost that console war of that generation.
I think that they've been losing ever since.
And so I think part of what made the Wii and like why they made it different and why they've continued different is because when they were making just a straight console, they were losing.
Right.
And so...
But they were winning with the N64 big time.
Yeah, and then everyone else started to iterate, and then Xbox came out and knocked it out of the park on the first try.
Right, but like I guess my theory is like if there would have been a Nintendo 128, that would have been the 128-bit system to compete with the Xbox and the PS3. Was it the PS3? No, I'm sorry,
the
PS2. That could have been dope. And like, take it easy with the controllers. Like, why do you gotta reinvent a controller every time? And like, the N64 controller was great because it works so well with GoldenEye.
Yeah.
And everybody like learned how to play a shooter with GoldenEye with that controller, and it was an incredible way to play FPS on console. I still don't think that I've seen great FPS on console since then. I know it's a little controversial, but I only play FPS on PC because the aiming is so clunky on console, in my opinion. But after the N64, after the GameCube, they just went off on this Wii shit. And the Wii U, like if you asked me, Mark, how does the Wii U work? I couldn't even tell you. Like I have no idea which one the Wii U is.
Right.
I don't either.
No, yeah. Honestly, that was one of the biggest problems with the Wii U in general is that moms would go to the store and their kids wanted a Wii U and they would see the Wii and be like, that's the thing that my son said, and
Right.
grab him a console from like 2 years ago.
Was the Wii U mobile?
No. The Switch is the first mobile one. The Wii
But the
U...
Wii U had like a screen on it, didn't it? Or no?
No. No, yeah, the controller had a screen.
Oh, I see. Gotcha.
And so it was almost like a Sega Game Gear. But then there was still a console like hub or base that was doing the
But no,
the computing.
That was a great point where you like PS PlayStation, like they've been like familiar but still changing, evolving.
That controller's almost
like
the same.
Same thing.
It is the same.
You have what's Uncharted 4. While you're in Uncharted 4, you're playing. You can play Crash Bandicoot. Like they sprinkle so many things like familiar things throughout.
Yeah.
Well, and one of the things that you were talking about with changing the controller, changing the console every single time, gamers don't necessarily want to change with you. So part of the Super Smash announcement was they announced compatibility for the original, like their Pro Controller. What their Pro Controller is the GameCube controller. It's the same. It's literally the same controller, and it has been.
Really?
So, like, GameCube controllers you could use with the Wii, you could use with the Wii U. Now you can use them with the Switch, and not only are these new controllers just what the GameCube controllers were, but you can actually take an old GameCube controller and plug it into the system, and it'll still work.
Right.
Which I love the backwards compatibility of all that, but it betrays a certain mentality of like always wanting to change and not realizing that people want what you did back then.
And
Also, I'm blaming my losses on the controller for me.
Oh, were you?
I'm talking about the controller.
I was gonna say, were you playing with the
Yeah.
tiny little
tiny
Switch
ass
controller?
Yeah, no, it was like a GameCube controller, but
Oh, yeah, Pro controller.
I'm blaming them on the controllers though.
Another thing about Nintendo that bugs me a little bit is that they've never really truly embraced, or maybe they have at this point. I've been so out of it, but like when the Xbox started embracing Xbox Live, and then the PlayStation started realizing, okay, we're losing to Xbox. How can that be? Well, it's very simple. You're losing to Xbox because Xbox has multiplayer online for everything, and you don't got anything. And then they started doing it more. Nintendo's never seemed like it's a big deal for them, like multiplayer games for Nintendo. They still think that people play multiplayer in the living room, right? Like here's three or four of my dudes hanging out. Let's play. Let's get 4 controllers out and play in the living room. It's like, I haven't had a friend come to my house in 5 months. Like
Like
To
when I'm
play games, yeah.
yeah. When I'm chilling with people and like, oh, let's play Fortnite. I'm like, all right, I gotta go home.
Right. Yeah.
Like I'm not. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So Nintendo is for like the spontaneous gaming. Like when you happen to have a bunch of people over and you're like, hey, let's play something. So then you play your Nintendo stuff. But if you're actually like planning to play, then you play, PC or Xbox.
Yeah,
or
you play
PS4.
online. You hop on an NBA 2K. You tell your dude, yo, meet me at the court. Let's go play. Or like, video games are without a doubt a online experience. I mean, look at Fortnite. It's the biggest game in the world, and it's an online experience. Look at World of Warcraft before it, which was like the one who used to have the throne. Multiplayer. I just don't think Nintendo has fully embraced multiplayer. They've been so conservative and they've been so stoic and protective over their IPs, and we only do things the Nintendo way. That I think it's created limitations to their audience.
Yeah, and they're not even doing like trading. You can't even trade or do anything like that on Pokemon Let's Go or Eevee. Like if I wanted to trade with you or something, different Pokemon or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's no like online like trading like that.
Oh, wow.
You
have to do it in person.
I don't even know. I don't even think there is trading.
You have to pull out your old link cable and hook up two Game Boys together.
Like that could have been their big chance to like if you want to do more like online multiplayer like linking
More
like
social
more social stuff like that's and you have people like me that have grown up like people like us and that know Pokemon like are familiar with trading in person. Like why not allow us to do that?
Wait a minute, are you
online?
actually trading Pokemons with people in real life?
Not anymore. I mean, I don't even have. But when I was like a little kid,
It's like I hate to tell you, but Pokemon cards are banned from this elementary school,
Bro.
and you can't have them in your backpack.
Is that true? Would people get Pokemon cards banned from elementary?
Oh yeah. Oh, that was the thing because kids would trade. This was like low level gambling almost. People there was a black market of Pokemon cards in every
Really?
elementary school.
Like when I was growing up, it was garbage pail kids.
Oh yeah. Okay, I know what
I
you're
don't
talking
even want
about.
to ask what.
Dory, you don't know what garbage pail kids are? Do you know? Crazy. Do you know what Cabbage Patch Kids were?
Yeah, I know what. Oh wait, all right, I just looked it up. I know what this is. I've seen this.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah. I got you. That's another name.
All right. So look, I know we've been running long here. What else do you want to get to, Joey?
So one of the biggest things that I saw that I know Dennis was a big fan of was Fallout 76.
Yeah.
The announcement came a little bit before E3. We got more information at E3 in the Bethesda press conference. And I just wanted to quickly touch on that because I am still what you were talking about how games being an online thing. For so long, Bethesda has been one of those things that like the Bethesda experiences aren't online things.
Sure. I mean, Elder Scrolls Online, which is not a very popular game, but sure.
Yeah, they're solitary things. You go through the wasteland alone. You go through Tamriel in Skyrim alone.
Yeah.
And one of the things that lets you do is really affect that world. If you accidentally kill a main quest giver in a Bethesda game, then that quest line is dead. Or if you like the way you change things, especially with Fallout 4, the way you had building ability, like you could build up a settlement and stuff like that. So if you're going to take a game like that and put it online, how much of that stuff goes away?
So I don't know any of the details of the online. You were saying that it's more. I've heard that it's only co-op, right? So the way the online works is you can play it solo. You can play, it would be online in that you would need updates and things like that, and the system would need to know that you're online. But essentially, you can be offline. So you can have. So there's still like a full-on single-player campaign.
Yes, but I'm wondering how much of that gets watered down because of it needs to have the ability to go online. Like it needs to have because one of the things I'm assuming that the online is going to work a lot like Destiny, where Destiny on any given map, you're only going to run into a dozen, maybe 20 other players. So it's like super small servers kind of thing.
But Destiny is not. You're not because look. To be honest with you, I've never played it. You're not in direct competition with those players. You're just cohabitating the world with those players.
Yeah, you're cohabitating. There's no friendly fire, and it's more of a like when monsters spawn and things like that. Everyone can be taking them down, and then like if a boss spawns, you guys can all take out the boss together. A loot crate drops, and then everyone can get whatever the loot was, as long as you fired
on it.
Yeah, as long as you put a hit on it,
yeah.
then you can have part of that loot. But with the permanence of like a Fallout world, like how does that kind of stuff work? Because Destiny has random spawn bosses. Destiny has
more
like
procedural.
It's got a story as well, but it's so separate from like I think the way Destiny servers work is if you're on a map and you walk towards the story objective, you get past a certain point where you're going to get into the story part of the map, and it shifts you to your own server or your own like you get separated from all the other online people that were on the map.
Yeah. So look, for me with Fallout, I've known about Fallout forever, obviously. I bought New Vegas. I bought 3. I've been buying these games for a while. I usually play them for 15, 20 minutes and put them down. I'll be straight up. Until I played Fallout 4 on the HTC Vive, and that was a game changer for me. That was one of the coolest experiences I've ever had in my life playing video games. Was Fallout 4 on the HTC Vive. Was absolutely mind blowing. And like Joey said earlier, I'm a huge Star Wars nut, so of course I had to have the lightsaber
mod.
The lightsaber mod. And it was absolutely incredible crafting my saber. It brought me back to the old days of Star Wars Galaxies. I mean, I absolutely loved Fallout 4 in VR. Only to be trumped a few months later by Skyrim in VR, which is incredible as well. So right now, I have Fallout and Skyrim in such high prestige.
Right.
These are 2 of my favorite games of all time, only because they're so incredibly well executed in VR that when I hear about Fallout 76, I'm like, oh, okay, that's cute, but is there a VR version coming out?
I definitely believe they will do it because Bethesda's been doing a lot of stuff in VR. They did Doom in VR as well, like through
Doom
id.
VFR, which is great too. Which was the first one that came out.
So honestly, they're probably gonna do a 76 VR, and the fact that is online, you can very well just have your meetings in the wasteland now.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Don't even get me so excited. Like that's the dream. I mean, doing co-op in Skyrim, the version that's out there right now, and if you guys have an HTC Vive and you're not playing Skyrim, you obviously don't really have an HTC Vive and you're just lying about it. Because it is just like the most incredible gaming experience I've ever felt in my life. To be able to do that co-op, I mean, forget about it. I mean, it's just like that's the oasis. I mean, that's what that's what we all dream about.
Yeah, no, that is Ready Player One. Honestly, well, with Fallout 76, you will be able to have the base building that's in Fallout 4. So you can literally like build your own home, like build your own little like world.
I saw a
there.
lot of Redditors getting all cynical about Fallout 76, and they said Fallout 3 was about searching for your fathers, Fallout 4 is about searching for your son, and Fallout 76 is about searching for a hacker's alias and some blah 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 blah. Like it seemed like there's a lot of confusion about what the overall premise of the game is.
Well, so that is something that I would want to talk to Dennis more about because Dennis goes on the deep dive when it comes to Fallout.
Dennis got con flu, supposedly. I hope.
So
he needs to bring a doctor's note on Monday.
Real quick, do you guys have your winners of E3? What? Yeah. Not necessarily like the best thing, but what stuck with you the most?
So for me, what stuck with me the most is that Fortnite is legit. Like to me, that was probably the number one thing that like hit me over the face. Is like Fortnite is the king of gaming right now.
We got to wrap up, but just when I went to that Pro-Am event, I think it was at the L.A. Memorial Coliseum.
Yeah, with the LA Galaxy.
Yeah, just seeing all the fans lined outside like it was a sports event, like what's going on, and then seeing them file in, I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
People love this game.
Fortnite is on another level, and we're actually going to be playing a lot of Fortnite coming up. I've been playing a little bit. I've been getting better at it. In full transparency, I have yet to win. I've never won a Fortnite battle. I'm not going to lie and say that I have.
I've won once out of
gotten
hundreds
down-
of times I've played.
I've gotten down to top 5 a couple
yeah.
times. But,
Me too.
but,
I've
yeah.
never won it. I've been in the top 5 a few times. I've never won it. But look, GTA 3 held that title. World of Warcraft held that title. Call of Duty held that title. And right now it's Fortnite. Fortnite, Halo held that title for a little bit. Right now, the undisputed king of gaming is Fortnite. And you felt it at E3 when you walked around their booth. And even though they had limited announcements other than they were porting it to the Switch, I think that was literally the only announcement.
Mm-hmm.
And there was another announcement that we didn't get into that actually upsets me, which is Sony, right? So
Yeah.
the big breakthrough about Fortnite is that it's cross-platform. Right?
Uh-huh.
That's the biggest breakthrough about it, that you can play a game on your iPhone with your boy who's playing on the Xbox with your other dude that's playing on the PC. I mean, that's incredible.
And with someone playing on a Switch.
And with somebody playing on a Switch. But now Sony said, oh, sorry, we're not letting our game be cross-platform. That's bullshit.
No.
What?
Yeah, Sony's the only one that's not letting that happen.
Yeah. So Sony says that they won't allow cross-platform on Fortnite.
Dude.
And this is not the first time they've done it too.
Yeah.
Like they've done it before, and before they would argue, differences in the console, blah blah blah. Blah. But now everyone is doing it with Fortnite, and Sony's still like, no.
Yeah, I mean that blows my mind.
Well, and Fortnite, they can capitalize, like they can do exclusive shit like the Thanos thing, like the Gauntlet. So why wouldn't Sony want to get on that? Like, let's say when the Spider-Man game drops, you can play as Spider-Man on Fortnite. That's just extra cross promotion for both of them.
That would have been amazing. Yeah. No, I want to play as Spider.
Sony's very good about about exclusive titles, right? Like, they're very good about that. They got Last of Us, they have Spider-Man, they have some other pretty big Uncharted, if that ever comes back. I mean, they have some really good Gran Turismo, even though Forza has lapped it, no pun intended. But it's just not smart, But anyway,
Right.
So for me, my big takeaway was Fortnite is the king of gaming. My second big takeaway was where the hell is the VR push? Like I still haven't seen the big VR push from Sony. I'm sorry,
Right.
from Microsoft.
From Microsoft, yeah.
Yeah,
when they originally announced Project Scorpio, the specs and everything like that were going to be, spec towards VR.
Yeah.
And then when that finally came out last year, they announced as the Xbox One X, it didn't have VR capability, and they, just stopped talking about it.
Look, I think, and this is a hot scoop, even though it's not really a scoop because it's not sourced. It's
Right.
just kind of
Your own musings.
Yes, extrapolated thinking is that I think Microsoft wants to buy HTC for a bunch of reasons. Not only for their mobile capabilities with their phones and all that stuff, but also I think primarily for VR. Now, look, a purchase of a company like that would probably be $14 billion. So it's not something that
It's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah, it's not going to happen overnight, but maybe that's what Microsoft is waiting for. Like, we don't want to get in this game without going out and buying one. I mean, Microsoft has their hands full right now with the HoloLens, and the HoloLens isn't that good. I've used it. I've used dev versions. Some friends of mine developed a chess game that I played on it, and I was really excited about it. And when I actually played it, I was very underwhelmed by it, So they kind of went in the AR direction. That hasn't really panned out yet, even though I'm a big believer in AR. But, yeah, I was surprised at E3 there wasn't a lot of VR talk. I mean, Sony was one of the few that actually had a lot of VR games there. But the Sony VR games aren't that good. It's like it's 3DoF, right? So you don't have a ton of that room scale capability. You don't have any at all. The Rick and Morty guys came up with a game.
Justin Roiland's got a game coming out, Trover or something like that.
Yeah, Schnepp loved it. But look, for me, if I had to pick a game of, all right, so I'll do my game of E3, and then I'll do my dark horse. Okay. Or like kind of like the jury prize, right?
Right,
like
sure.
the grand prize and the jury prize. For me, the grand prize of E3, like if I could play any game that's at E3 right now that I was actually able to play, that's somewhat playable, and get a build of it in my house tonight to play, I would probably say Spider-Man. You know? Yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm not going to front. I'm super excited about that.
Yeah.
My jury prize would probably go to my friend Pedro, Blood, Bullets, Bananas.
Okay. What about you, Joey?
So I think even though I didn't get to experience it too directly, and didn't get to experience it that much, I still think Last of Us might be my winner there. Like,
because you actually saw it. So for me, it doesn't qualify for my picks because I didn't see the demo and I didn't see anybody playing it. So
right. I honestly, especially after playing Shadow of the Tomb Raider and seeing The Last of Us stealth through like the forest and seeing the Shadow of the Tomb Raider stealth in the forest, Last of Us blows Shadow of the Tomb Raider out of the water. I'm actually like kind of disappointed. I didn't realize it at the time, but I'm kind of disappointed in Square Enix.
Really?
After this E3, because I don't think Shadow of the Tomb Raider's looking that great, and Kingdom Hearts 3, I've really wanted that to happen and be good for a long time, and now that I'm finally getting it, I'm like, oh, this is not gonna be great. I mean, like it's gonna be fine, but it's very much like what we were talking about earlier, where it's not advancing it enough.
Yeah,
it feels so much like Kingdom Hearts 2, and Kingdom Hearts 2 was a PS2 game.
Right.
And I gave that a lot of
it's a good game.
slack. Yeah, but I gave it a lot of slack because it was a PS2 game.
Yeah.
Now you have a current gen game, and it should not feel the same as a PS2 game.
Yeah, you know what? I know this is off topic real quick, but one thing we didn't talk about that I thought was very interesting was Resident Evil 2.
Oh, yeah, the remake of that.
Did you see it? Did you get to watch it? Or see it?
Yeah, so I have been hearing about this for a little bit. I kind of knew that it was in the works. Only like through the grapevine, I'd heard certain people working on it or not working on it. I am down for especially games that had really good narrative to be remade
with that triangle head dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, any kind of game from early generations where the story was great, if they're remaking those kind of games, I am totally fine with that because it means that people can experience that story, and now you can like finally be like, I know, right? Resident Evil 2, like you finally understand what we've been trying to tell you, and it's just you didn't want to go back and play an old game, and now you don't have to. You can play a new version of the game, but they should be going through left and right doing stuff like that with games that have good narrative.
Are the game mechanics just like Resident Evil 7, or is it like an actual third-person throwback to
I don't think they showed
the game
gameplay.
Okay.
They only showed the cinematic trailer, which matches
so in 7
up.
years it'll come out.
Yeah, right. Honestly, Last of Us is my winner. I'm definitely excited about that, and it was thrown into sharp relief because of Shadow of the Tomb Raider and Square Enix.
So what's
that's my winner and kind of my loser.
Okay.
You're supposed to do a dark horse, like
Yeah.
Oh yeah, all right. Okay,
your jury prize.
I think that's gonna go. To Dying Light 2.
Okay.
Just for me personally, like that's
it's
that's
in your
one of
top
the
3 zombie games.
Dying Light 1 is and Dying Light 2, they are adding more of a narrative to it. They're adding more of a choose a story kind of thing, which is something that I really loved out of Telltale and I loved out of Detroit. And so many games have the capability to do that now we're getting to this place where games are growing so much that choosing the path and really affecting the universe is becoming more of a thing.
Yeah. Detroit does it great. If you guys haven't played it yet, I recommend it. It's a cool game.
Yeah, for sure.
You can check out Joey's review of Detroit Human on the Collider.com website.
Yeah.
Good plug there. What about you? Your winners and
Spider-Man, top game.
Spider-Man was your winner?
Spider-Man was probably my winner. Runner-up. Actually, Black Ops 4. I like that more.
What is that?
Black Ops 4.
Oh, Black Ops. Oh, COD 4.
COD 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's probably my favorite, just because it's my second time playing it since we went to that convention.
Yeah. So
I
you
just
play a
love
lot of COD,
Merkin.
like at home?
Yeah.
Is that your main game?
Not my main game. I guess Overwatch was my main game until Fortnite came around. So Fortnite's like.
So now you've been playing Fortnite
for every night, all day, squad.
You got your own squad.
I got it.
All right, well, throw me that handle, dude. Let me get in that squad.
PS4.
See, now you can't.
I do it on the PC.
Well,
I do it on the PC.
Yeah, we still play it. Yeah, you can still
No,
play.
No, that's what we just talked about.
I had a brain fart. Fuck.
Yeah. They shut it off. Sony, you can't play cross-platform on Sony anymore.
Holy shit!
It's devastating, right?
Yeah.
Like,
it's terrible.
Damn.
So you know what you're gonna do? You're gonna have to jump on.
Half my friends.
You're gonna have to jump on mobile and try and play.
Yeah.
And then I guess I didn't have it. I guess that dream game where you can like build your own world or whatever. That's probably the dark horse, and I don't know when that's coming out though. But
that's cool.
All right. Well, there was so much at E3. There's so much more that we didn't get a chance to talk about. But hopefully,
Hitman 2 and
hopefully you guys over at the Collider Factory are interested in hearing what we have to say about games and gaming. That is all for us here at Collider Games. Dorian, where can everyone find you on the internet?
You can find me at Dorian Parks and Rec. Dorian Parks, and then the letter N, and then Rec, REC, like based off the show Parks and Recreation, which is better than The Office.
Whoa.
That's a whole nother conversation we'll have later. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, Dorian Parks and Rec.
Mark, when you want to be found on the internet, where can people find you?
You're
gonna hide?
Yeah, it's all good. You can search me and I should pop up. But my Twitter is at Marc Fernandez 76.
You can find him at Collider Video on YouTube. That's the place to look for him. Exactly. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Joey Rassool, RASSOOL. Thanks so much, guys.
Peace.